Imagine this. You're surrounded by people. Your phone won't stop vibrating. Someone tells you they love you. And yet, at that exact moment, you are completely, irreversibly alone. Not emotionally, not socially, existentially. Because there is one moment every human being will experience that nobody, not your parents, your soulmate, your closest friend, or the billions of people alive today, can ever experience with you. And strangely, most of us spend our entire lives trying not to think about it. But once you see it, you'll never unsee it. Loneliness is one of humanity's oldest fears. For thousands of years, being alone meant death. A single person separated from the tribe had little chance of surviving. Our brains never forgot that. That's why rejection hurts like physical pain. That's why silence feels loud. That's why people stay in relationships they know are broken. Because somewhere deep inside, our minds still believe isolation equals extinction. But here's the unsettling part. The deepest loneliness isn't caused by being abandoned. It isn't caused by losing friends. It isn't even caused by living alone. The deepest loneliness arrives precisely when you're surrounded by everyone you've ever loved, and almost nobody recognizes it while it's happening. Think back to your earliest memory. Maybe it was your first day of school. Maybe it was a birthday. Maybe just a vague feeling. Now ask yourself something impossible. What existed before that memory? You don't know. No one does. Your consciousness simply appeared, as if someone turned on a light inside an empty room. Nobody remembers entering existence. Yet somehow, here you are, already trapped inside a single perspective, your perspective. You've never experienced another person's consciousness, not once. You've only ever looked through one pair of eyes, listened through one pair of ears, felt one stream of thoughts. Even now, as millions of people watch the same sky, every person lives inside a private universe, entire worlds, separated by invisible walls. And this is where everything changes. We like to believe other people truly understand us. That's comforting. But is it true? Think about the last time you tried explaining heartbreak, or grief, or anxiety. You searched for words, you compared feelings, you used metaphors, but words aren't experiences, they're translations. Imagine describing the color red to someone who has never seen color. No sentence could ever recreate the experience. That's exactly how consciousness works. Every conversation you've ever had has been one isolated mind attempting to transmit an experience into another isolated mind. The miracle isn't that people misunderstand each other. The miracle is that they understand anything at all. But that wasn't the strangest discovery. Scientists have spent decades studying consciousness. They can measure brain activity, map neural networks, predict decisions milliseconds before you're aware of making them. But one question refuses to disappear. Why does experience exist at all? Why isn't your brain simply processing information like a computer? Why does it feel like something to be you? This mystery has a name, the hard problem of consciousness. And despite centuries of science, no one has solved it. Not because people aren't intelligent enough, because the problem itself may be impossible to observe from the outside. Every scientific experiment depends on observation, but consciousness is the observer. Trying to explain consciousness objectively may be like asking your eye to look directly at itself, and suddenly, the walls become visible. Imagine everyone you know standing in a circle, your family, your best friend, your childhood self, the love of your life. Every one of them carries an inner universe richer than anything you've ever imagined. Fears they've never spoken, dreams they'll never confess, memories you'll never see. Entire emotional landscapes hidden forever behind their eyes. You'll never know them completely, just as they'll never know you completely. We spend our lives exchanging tiny fragments, a smile, a sentence, a hug, believing we've crossed the distance. But perhaps the distance never disappears. It only becomes easier to ignore. Then something strange happens. Modern life promises connection, more messages, more followers, more notifications, more conversations than any generation before us. Yet loneliness has become an epidemic. How is that possible? Maybe because connection and exposure aren't the same thing. We reveal everything, except ourselves. People post their vacations, their achievements, their opinions, even their breakdowns, but rarely their deepest fears. Not because they're hiding. Because language begins to fail, some feelings simply refuse to become words. And the more connected we become, the more obvious the invisible barrier feels. Technology solved distance. It never solved separation. But none of this compares to the loneliest moment, the one waiting for every single person. Whether you're famous or forgotten, loved or unloved, rich or poor, it always arrives, quietly, without asking permission. Most people imagine death as darkness, or fear, or pain. But that's not the part philosophers obsessed over. The terrifying part is that no one can accompany you into your own experience of it. People can stand beside your bed, hold your hand, cry for you, speak your name, but they stop where your consciousness begins. The final step belongs only to you. Every relationship, every conversation, every shared memory eventually ends at a boundary no human has ever crossed together. This is the part almost nobody talks about. Throughout history, humans invented stories to soften this realization. Religions, legends, afterlives, reincarnation, eternal reunions. Whether they're true or not isn't the point. The point is what they reveal. Across every civilization, people sense the same unbearable truth. That consciousness feels profoundly solitary. Not socially, existentially. Even if paradise exists, you still arrive there through a doorway no one else can walk beside you. And maybe that's why the idea frightened humanity enough to shape entire civilizations. But here's the twist. What if loneliness isn't the tragedy? What if it's the miracle? Think about it. Out of billions of years of cosmic silence, the universe somehow produced a perspective that has never existed before. Yours. Nobody has ever heard music exactly the way you hear it. Nobody has ever watched rain through your memories. Nobody has ever interpreted love, loss, beauty, or fear exactly like you. Your consciousness is unrepeatable. Not because you're important, because you're impossible to duplicate. Even an identical copy of your brain wouldn't become you. It would become someone else who simply believes they are you. That realization is unsettling, but it's also extraordinary. Maybe that's why we chase connection so desperately. Not because we expect perfect understanding, but because every conversation is an attempt to bridge impossible distances. Every act of kindness says, I know I can't fully enter your world, but I'll stand at its edge. Every hug, every confession, every apology, every moment of genuine attention, they're not proofs that loneliness has disappeared. They're acts of rebellion against it, tiny bridges built over an infinite gap. Fragile, temporary, beautiful. And perhaps that's what gives life its weight. If another person could fully experience your consciousness, your joys wouldn't be uniquely yours. Your grief wouldn't belong to you. Your memories wouldn't carry the same meaning. The very isolation we fear may be what makes every human life irreplaceable, not despite our separation, because of it. One day, someone will speak your name for the last time. One day, you'll remember a place for the final time without knowing it's the last. One day, you'll look at the sky, completely unaware it's the final version of that sky your eyes will ever witness. Life never announces its endings. It simply keeps moving, until suddenly, there are no more moments left. And when that final moment arrives, no crowd can enter it. No loved one can carry part of it. No voice can follow where your awareness goes. It is the loneliest moment every human experiences. Yet maybe, that's exactly what makes every moment before it worth sharing. Because if every mind is its own universe, then every genuine connection is nothing less than two universes briefly touching the edges of infinity. And perhaps, in a universe where no consciousness can ever truly merge with another, the greatest miracle was never that we are alone. It was that, somehow, for a little while, we make each other feel like we're not.